The North Vietnamese, during the Vietnam War, had spent decades building tunnel systems throughout their country. These tunnels, originally built during the First Indochina War from 1946 to 1954, were used by the Vietnamese irregular forces, the Viet Minh, during the First Indochina War, and the Viet Cong during the Vietnam War, to supplement the guerrilla style of fighting used by the Vietnamese irregular forces. These tunnels would be greatly expanded during the Vietnam War, becoming large underground cities. The Viet Minh was a militia formed by Ho Chi Minh in China. Viet Minh translates to League for the Independence of Vietnam and was a militia created with the intentions of freeing Vietnam from French rule. The Viet Minh fought the French during the First Indochina War, fighting using guerrilla tactics to destroy the superior army. It was during the First Indochina War that the Viet Minh began the construction of tunnel systems. After the Battle of Dien Bien Phu, the French gave independence to Vietnam, splitting them into North and South Vietnam. Ho Chi Minh became the leader of Communist North Vietnam. South Vietnam was established as an anti-communist country, initially under the leadership of Bao Dai, the ex-emperor of Vietnam, until he was exiled from the country and Vietnam was declared a republic, led by Ngo Diem, who won by blatantly rigging elections, preventing Vietnam from becoming communist and joining North Vietnam. The Viet Cong originated as a group of people, primarily communists, who were opposed to the corrupt Diem regime. They initially worked as terrorists in South Vietnam, assassinating government officials. By 1959, the Viet Cong began engaging in firefights with the South Vietnamese army. At the same time, the North Vietnamese government had agreed to invade South Vietnam and unite the two countries. The North Vietnamese army, alongside the Viet Cong, who were now operating directly in conjunction with the North Vietnamese government, managed to easily beat the South Vietnamese until in 1965, when the US Congress passed the Gulf of Tonkin Incident, allowing for the US to conscript and send American men to fight in Vietnam. The US was joined by a variety of allies such as Australia and New Zealand. The North Vietnamese knew that they couldn't win a conventional war against the industrial powerhouse of the United States, and thus the Viet Cong began fighting the majority of the war. The Viet Cong expanded the tunnel systems in both North and South Vietnam, with one of the most well-known being the Cu Chi tunnels. The Cu Chi tunnels were a large connection of tunnels only 40 kilometers from the heart of Saigon, the capital of South Vietnam, in the Cu Chi district. The tunnels spanned over 400 kilometers and were used as staging grounds for attacks in Saigon. The tunnels were used for many other purposes, one of the main ones being for protection from American bombing runs. This meant that the Cu Chi tunnels had to be constructed well enough to allow for Viet Cong soldiers to live in the tunnels for multiple days at once. The tunnels were filled with facilities such as hospitals, storage rooms, living areas, and ordnance factories. Many tunnels had wells and kitchens, allowing for food and water to be readily available. The tunnels were incredibly hard to clear out. The main way to clear out a tunnel would be to drop a grenade or tear gas canister into the tunnels. Grenades could destroy vital intelligence in the tunnels, and with the larger tunnel complexes they would do very little damage to it. To fight back against the tear gas canisters, the Vietnamese could put ventilation in the tunnels, funneling the tear gas out of the tunnels. This meant the most effective way to clear out the tunnels would be by sending a soldier into the tunnels. Tunnel rat was a term used to refer to the soldiers who would enter Vietnamese tunnels to clear them out. The first tunnel rats were Australian combat engineers, with the 3rd Field Troop Unit likely being the first of the tunnel rats. The tunnel rats were tasked with collecting intelligence from within the tunnels and either killing or capturing the Viet Cong soldiers within. These tunnel rats would typically be armed with only a sidearm, either an M1911A1 or Browning high power, a bayonet, a flashlight, and explosives. Many tunnel rats disliked the flash from a 45 ACP round, and many would send for revolvers to be sent to them from home. Some tunnel rats would also wear gas masks into the tunnel, as there would sometimes be gas traps. More often than not though, tunnel rats wouldn't wear gas masks, as they impaired vision, hearing, and breathing. Apart from Viet Cong soldiers and gas traps, the tunnel rats had many other traps that they would need to be cautious of. These traps varied from simple punji traps, where the Vietnamese would put sticks in the ground which would then be covered over, meaning the tunnel rats would likely impale themselves on these sticks, which would sometimes be covered in poison. There could also be tripwire traps, which would pull the pin of a hand grenade or the trigger of a firearm. The Vietnamese would also sometimes use animals as traps, sticking venomous snakes, scorpions, or spiders in places where tunnel rats were likely to traverse. The tunnel rats of the Australian, New Zealand, and American armies played key roles during the Vietnam War, fighting the Viet Cong in the tunnels and fighting important intelligence. These men were in extremely dangerous positions, and many suffered for the rest of their lives due to Agent Orange poisoning, a herbicide that was used by the Americans to destroy Vietnamese forests, which has caused great damage to the Vietnamese people to this day.